Paragimel, chapter 3, Mishna Ches, Mishna 8. Now, this Mishnah is the final Mishnah of Masechta Chagiga. It's also the final Mishnah of Seder Moed, of the second section of Mishnayos, the section of Moed, which with this Mishnah we conclude Moed, and therefore we're actually not going to finish the whole Mishnah today. We're going to go almost till the end of the Mishnah, save the end of the Mishnah for the Siyam that we're making this Saturday night in honor of completing Seder Moed. And the plan is for the end of the Mishnah to be live streamed, so whoever is listening to the Mishnah online will be able to hear the end of it also as we complete it. Okay, so Mishnah Ches, Perek Gimel Mishnah Ches. Keitzad Ma'avirim al Taharas Hazara. We mentioned yesterday that after Yontif is over, and the time in which we say that the Amei Ha'aretz, the ignorant people, in the laws of Tumah Tahara, that during Yontif we say whatever they touched in the Beis HaMikdash doesn't become impure. Whatever they touched during Yontif, which then wasn't impure, is considered impure after Yontif, or the consideration that they touched it, or the assumption that they touched it, tells us that after Yontif, we have to go ahead and have to remove the vessels in order to purify things. So to purify the vessels. So Keitzad Ma'avir Maltaras Azara. What is the procedure for removing the utensils from the Azara, from the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash? Matbilin es hakelim shahayu b'mikdash. We immerse in a mikvah all the vessels that were in the mikdash. Okay? Now, what does that include? When we say all the vessels, what does that include exactly? So, or what is it actually going to exclude? Lahen, and they say to them, which means the Kohanim say to the other Kohanim Ramei Aretz, meaning even amongst the Kohanim, you had Kohanim that were Chaverim, that were very careful with the laws of Tumah Tahara, and those that were not as learned and not as careful. How they dealt with their Truma, I'm not sure exactly. But at the end of the day, they were not as careful, but it was Yontif. Yontif, everybody purified themselves for Yontif, and therefore they were allowed into the Beis HaMikdash, and as Kohanim, they could actually enter the Heichal, they could enter the actual Beis HaMikdash itself. And while they were in there, they were clearly there's a good chance they were touching things. So, Ba'ayim Lahem, the Kohanim that were Chaverim would say to the Kohanim, the Amaratzim, Hizaru Shaletiku B'Shulchan. Be careful, do not touch the table. Usatamuhu, and by doing that, you would make it impure. They warned them, don't touch the table. Now, why not take the table and immerse it in a mikveh?
It's too big.
No, it wasn't too big. It wasn't too big. You could probably take it apart also and do it. The answer is because there is a pasuk that says that the table has to continuously be in the Beis HaMikdash. We derive from the words of the Torah, the shulchan in the table in the Beis HaMikdash upon which the lechem apanim were put, special breads that were made and put there. That shulchan, that table, is supposed to continuously be in the Beis HaMikdash. It's not supposed to be removed, and therefore we say to the Amaratzim, do not touch it, so that you don't make a tamei. So that you don't make a tamei. Now, what were to happen if, let's say, something? Now, let's bear in mind here that the Amaratzim are tamei midrabanan. It's not midraisa that they're tamei. It's midrabanan that they're tamei. According to Torah Love, they say they're tar. We can believe them, but the Rabbanan said no. We're going to be strict, but don't believe them. So the tumah that comes from the ignorant people is midrabanan. But then we have other sources that are midraisa. So let's say a deraisa, a Torah source, a source that is considered tumah midaraisa, a dead sheretz, and one of the dead shrutzim lands up in the Beis HaMikdash. Somebody dies, and the shulchan is under the same roof as the Beis HaMikdash, as it's under the same roof as a dead person. What do you do then? The answer is then you have to table it. Right? When you're dealing with the problem of a tumah daraisa, the Torah says this table is tamei. If it's tamei, you can't use it. So then the prohibition of, or the law not to remove it doesn't apply. Here, where we're talking about the Rabbanan source of tumah, we don't want to have to table that. We don't want to have to go ahead and go against what the Torah says about having the shulchan there, the table there continuously. Therefore, we tell the Kohanim that are the Amaratzim that aren't so learned, don't touch it, because then we're going to have to be table it, and we're not supposed to move the shulchan. So that's the point here. It's important to know that it's not like you'll never ever put the shulchan in the mikveh to matar it. If it becomes impure from a Torah source of impurity, you're going to be table it. And even though the Torah says don't move it, now you have to move it. But where we're dealing here with a rabbanan tumah, a rabbinic tumah, something that's considered a source of tumah according to rabbinic law, that's where we want to avoid having to remove the shulchan, the table, from the Beis HaMikdash. Because again, the Torah tells us that it should remain there. Next, kol ha'kelim shayyu b'mikdash, all utensils that were in the Beis HaMikdash, yesh la'mishniim u'shlishim, they had seconds and thirds, meaning they had replacements. Shem nitmor rishayim, that if the first ones were to become tamei, yaviyu shneim tachteyen, they can bring the other ones in their place. So basically, what happens? So it takes some time to. Let's say so they're removing all the utensils, and the ones that they can remove, they're putting them in the mikveh. So what happens then? You don't do anything in the Beis HaMikdash in the meantime. The answer is use the replacement ones, because they always had replacement ones in store in case something became tamei to replace them. Okay, we're going to stop with the Mishna here, and we'll complete it in Mitzvah Shem, Mitzvah Shabbos, and to see him. Okay, now, so the Chofetz Chaim was talking about the fact that, again, you've seen a person that has done something wrong. You know it's wrong. You know that he knows that it's wrong. Nonetheless, you're not allowed to go ahead and publicize it because of the fact that one never knows that perhaps he's doing tshuva he did tshuva, he regretted what he did, and because of that, he's been forgiven, and therefore you're not allowed to go in and say anything about him. Now, in a footnote, the Chofetz Chaim says something that's very important. All these examples that we're talking about now, that you see somebody doing something wrong, and you don't tell it to other people, that's where there's no issue of separating someone from doing something forbidden. However, if by telling someone else, it now will accomplish what you need to separate someone from doing something wrong, Kagain, for instance, he saw a married woman commit adultery. He saw it. Okay? Now, if afterwards she does tshuva, right? That's great. But she's still forbidden to her husband. Mm-hmm. If a woman commits adultery, she is forbidden to her husband. Now, minadin, according to the law, she is forbidden to remain married to her husband. Even if he saw this alone, there's no two witnesses, he's the only witness to it. You got to tell the husband, because otherwise he's doing something forbidden, even though he has no idea. But he's doing something that essentially is forbidden. You got to tell him no. There's only if you yourself saw the sin. But it didn't necessarily. And therefore, according to the letter of the law, the fact that there is someone who actually saw her do it, she actually becomes forbidden to her husband. You heard it from other people. Based on just what you heard from other people, that from your perspective does not allow you to say she's forbidden. Just because others have told you that doesn't mean that now you have to consider the situation that's forbidden to the husband. Or other situations where somehow or another you're getting wind of this, but it's not enough to make her forbidden to the husband. Also legalis. Now let her go and reveal it to reveal it to him. And even in a case where you yourself saw that she committed adultery, you only should tell it to the husband if you think he's going to accept it from you. Otherwise, you can't tell it to the husband. If he's not going to listen to you, there is no point to go in and tell it to him. And all the more so to someone else. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.